Okay, so how's everybody doing today? How y'all doing? How y'all faring? The character design Floral Humanoid is due Tuesday, February the 21st. Everything is available on the community, so you just have to go to the community page. In order to find it, just go to istebrak.com, click on this little Google Plus icon, and the information is right here. Everything is available to you right here. You can download the resource pack right here as well. You're very welcome, David. I'm so happy that that my videos have helped you. It means a lot. It means that they're out there and they're helping people. They're not just ignored because they're so long. I feel like a great like if I had tried a shorter video method to my channel, just having like little, yeah, I would have gotten much more subscribers, much more attention. But it's like a filter having those long 1 hour videos. It filters out those who get bored, those who are just in there just dicking around, and it keeps those who are really serious. So all those views that I get for per video, I know those are serious students who are sitting there and actually taking notes and trying to make the art matter to them, to prove it to everyone around them that they mean business when it comes to their love for art. Not their parents, not their friends, not their school, not their guidance counselor. No one can tell them that art that you can't do what you want to do with art. I'm an example of that. I'm an example that you can make a living out of it. Okay, so before I start, do you guys have any more questions regarding the Floral Humanoids Challenge? I'm very sorry about my tired voice. I'm really, really spent, really drained today. I don't know, I feel like I have to explain why I'm so sick all the time. And I know it's just been in in the back, like I just mention it offhand or something, and then I just don't elaborate. But I have like a very severe fatigue, and caused by some other stuff. You probably heard me talk about it. I don't like talking about it too much or remembering that I have that. Um, but yeah, it's very, very tiring, and not every day the forecast is different. There's no way to predict what tomorrow is going to be like. Um, yeah, but yeah, I tell you guys, don't worry too much about what other people think in your career in art and what to do and how to make a live. Of course, there has to be a way for you to maintain your living and get a job somewhere, but it doesn't mean that when you get home, it's time to turn on some Overwatch and start playing. Me saying that I am an example of the fact that you can make money out of it. I never like I play games now, and it's a nice pastime that keeps your like reactions high, and it keeps your I'm not sure, like your cognitive skills really, really high, and your just reflexes really high. It's a smart way to pass time. Instead of just passing time watching TV, you're actually actively sitting there trying to find ways and strategies, and so that's a fun way to pass your time if you have no art to do. But if you're studying and you're learning and you're caught in that disgusting web of like that just this epidemic of over gaming, you're not going to be able to, like me, as being me saying that I'm your role model. When I grew up and I was your age and I was studying art and I was pushing past the fundamentals way into advanced, I wasn't gaming. So games were fewer and far between. When I talk about my love for Kingdom Hearts, this happened on like vacation days. How else is a vacation supposed to be look forward to if you're not saving all the fun and joy for those 2 weeks that you take off and just play some games? If you guys are playing like 5 to 6 hours of gaming a day, it's very, very bad, and it has to come at the end of the day, and you have to cut that in half, and it has to be after you did a good amount of work and homework. And yeah, I'm telling you guys, school is probably not good. It is a distraction. Don't listen to your parents when they tell you you can't draw. Of course, I'm going to say these things to you because you need to hear them. You need to be comforted. You need to be told, and I need to nurture your creativity. But at the same time, I'm not saying just keep drawing, do what you do, don't let people tell. I'm not saying you guys are independent little snowflakes. This whole channel is about making you realize you're not as big as you think you are, and realizing that you have to sit down, turn off League of Legends, turn off Overwatch, and start doing the work that you enjoy doing. My channel, tons of other channels on YouTube are ready to tell you what you don't yet know. So you guys sit there for hours finding different team compositions and finding different item selections and finding different combinations of skill sets and whatnot for your game character. And that probably takes like an hour or two. Why not just sit there and sketch something? Force something to come out of your hand. Force it if it's not working. So yeah, you can call me a role model, but I am very, very cautious by being called that. Remember that as I grew up, I didn't game as much as you guys did because I wasn't born in the same generation you guys were born 10 years before that. And yeah, I came late into the whole gaming thing, and you guys were born right into it, right in the thick of it, right into the iPads and into the iPhones and into the whatnot. And even if you're my age, even if you're older, you also might be caught in that consumerism. So please be careful that if you want to perfect your skills, if you want to be where you want to be in the future, and you want to make a living out of your art, you want to get that following, you want to get that viewership, you have to just set that gaming away. Just put it away, set it aside, and dedicate a lot of time to it. Okay. But let's have a look at the questions for the Floral Humanoids challenge. Sorry I got sidetracked, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned all of that. At Istebrak and Marco, can the floral humanoids resemble older people, or do they have to appear young? No, no, no. You guys can. Okay, I'm officially telling you. You can bring your own references. They have to be flowers or any blooming flora or fauna or something. You have to make sure that you're allowed to. You have to make sure that it's weaved into the human anatomy. So you found a way to weave the, and I'm using the word weave like very specifically. You have to find a way to unite the anatomy of the flower and the anatomy of the human, and the anatomy of a human, the mechanics and function of a human, together. You have to be able to unite those together. Find a way to make it. Don't just give me petals and skirts I made out of petals that are permanent. I don't want to see any Selvari from Guild Wars 2. Those are very, very cheap, topical, really, really just assembly line character designs. I want to see something that we would use for a protagonist or an antagonist or a character of interest in a narrative. So this challenge is up there to keep you guys on your feet, to keep your portfolios really, really high variety. And please make sure you follow the rules. You are allowed to make it modern or like an ancient, no technology type deal. Mystical characters like we see in the movie Epic, and how they're just scattered into the forest. They don't have much technology. You can make it a kingdom. You can make it a swamp floral humanoid. You can make whatever you want out of it, but you just got to make sure you have the rules. The variety is up to you. You are not allowed to. What was that? I forgot what the rule was. Someone asked about it. I don't know. You are allowed to give them weapons. You're allowed to give them artifacts. But make sure that you're not depending on those weapons or artifacts to push the feeling of the character design. The character design is the anatomy. You are the creator. You are the god of this specific creation. You are putting it together. So if they have to be born with an axe for us to know that they are a warrior type floral humanoid, and that doesn't make any sense. You have to make sure that you're thinking about body build and gesture, standing gesture. Remember that you're not supposed to have them squatting or turned around or leaning on anything. It's a standing gesture. So you can have them lean on one leg. You can have them lean on their weapon just a little bit. You can have them have their weapon behind their back or something like that. I'm not sure, but just make sure that you're not hiding major limbs behind a gesture, a sitting gesture or a sleeping gesture or lying down or something like that. And all of the previous character design, look them up. The character design critique hours that I have that we've looked at, from Adventure Fellowship to the creepy creatures. We talked a lot about silhouette and how not to let sex push the characterization. Don't just depend on a big boobs and a small waist to make this character read, because that's not going to do shit for you. You have to make sure that you're looking at the personality represented in their gesture, in the way they stand and who they are. So yeah, you do have to think about narrative quite a lot. That's why I didn't give you a narrative. I didn't write anything up. I want you guys to write all that up. It could be like a modern high school floral humanoids. It could be an ancient kingdom of mystical elf type floral humanoids. Just make sure that you are thinking about the way the anatomy of the flower unites with the anatomy of the human. That's the challenge. That's what the studio director asked you to do. And me, the studio director, I have hired you to with your creative skills and your concept skills, to put together that creature. Don't over render the portrait before you're done a full body. This is a full body, not a portrait bust. Full body character design. I need to see some sketches before you guys start rendering. It's pointless to render right now. All I need to see is sketches. I see a lot of you rendering stuff, and it's, I'm not sure that's going to help you for the late game of the design. So a lot of you are really, really nice. I love this, but a lot of you are rendering too early. I really like these. This is really pretty. Standing character designs. Just keep them standing. You can provide some gesture. Don't leave them just standing like that, all boring. What kind of character? She seems like she's a diva of sorts. Again, don't just make her boobies big just to make her feel like a diva. Maybe one hand on her hip, leaning to the side. Maybe she's a dancer. Maybe she's an entertainer. This seems like she's some sort of healer or some sort of priestess, and he also seems like a priest or a shaman. That's what I'm saying. Just try to embed the general topical character design, or the way to summarize a character design, in one word or two, describing their class, or where we'll see them in a game, where we will see them in an animation or something like that. Okay, so some more questions up there. Can the floral part be a growth on the body as opposed to a functional limb? What constitutes a humanoid? Whatever constitutes a humanoid means 2 legs, 2 arms, a head, and females breasts, and males I don't know, a crotch bump. Just please make sure that it looks like a human silhouette, and then basically if it looks like a human on a silhouette from a distance, you've done good. If it looks like a weird alien from a distance, then that's not a humanoid anymore. By humanoid, I don't mean like an alien massive head with tiny little arms and 3 fingers. I mean 5 fingers humanoid. I mean 5 toes. I mean 2 feet. Muscles, pectorals, breasts, stomach, all of that stuff is supposed to be in there. They're still humanoids, but they are, their anatomy has been kind of like united with the anatomy of a flower, just like what we see in the character designs in the shipmates of what's his name, Davy Jones ship, his minions. They somehow managed to like get pieces of the anatomy and just unite them with the human. So these are humanoids: 2 feet, 2 legs, 2 hands. But look at what they did. God damn, this is just next level character design. And it all starts this way. It all starts here. So see how they united it with fish creatures and creatures of the deep, and then brought it back to be a human, because these guys have stayed underwater for so long, they're starting to look like fish, essentially. So maybe these people stayed in the forest for so long, they're starting to look like flowers. One moment, please. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, so, oh, is this a game? Okay, so let's get started. Let me see some more questions before I finish up. I really want you guys to ask as much as you need. I'll have another Q&A at the end if you want questions answered regarding the theme challenge. You're not allowed to have extreme poses. No, not crouching, not sitting, not jumping in the air, not stabbing something, none of that. It's a standing character design. I mean, but it still has some personality in it. So so just figure your way around that. I can't hold your hand the whole way. You guys have to find a way to follow the rules and still bring in your independence. Do you upload every critique hour to the channel after it's done, or only some of them? Every single critique hour I've uploaded it. Other ones that have had issues where I need to go back and correct something, I delete it and re-upload it. I haven't had a single one where I haven't uploaded it. If I have like a couple that haven't been uploaded, it's because I didn't have a session that week. Okay. I'm not yelling at Abu. Shit, how did you know that? Okay. So let's get started real quick. Okay. Alright. Let's get started. This is a 14-day challenger graduate. I'm really amazed by their work. This is wonderful work we're looking at. Let me open up their day by day. Okay, so let's have a look at it. Let's look at the power of Portrait Studio. Let's look at the power of the 14-day challenge. Look at this. Day 1. This is just after day 8. Their values are more correct. The skin is less patchy. There's less value sharing. The shadows have stopped right up until there. The lips feel less cartoony. They have less of that tail, so less symbol. The eyes aren't downturned, but the outer corners are higher than the inner corners. This is just after day 8. This is just at day 8. The bridge of the nose carries the highlight in it to represent that it's the highest altitude. So the biggest benefit out of the 14-day challenge is understanding that replacing the image of a symbol of a face in your mind with a building, with the architecture, the real structure behind it. This face is beautiful, just this alone, but you just kept going. The cross is too much here. You brought in some patchy pieces. It kind of just fell off later on, but you seemed to pick up as you went along. Kind of got rid of that cross, and then kept, the cross was still there. And then finally, your 14th day. This is wonderful improvement. Compare the day 1 to day 14. So that's just a wonderful work. And I'm not saying you have to do it in 2 weeks. I'm not saying you have to do it every day. Ideally, you can do it every day because it'll trick you into having some really, really good work ethic in your life and showing up every day to your canvas, whether you like it or not, whether you have motivation, which is a very fickle thing, or not. You develop discipline, and that is irreplaceable. That is priceless. It's not something I can teach you. It's something only you can teach yourself, the discipline involved in showing up every single day to your canvas. So this is wonderful, wonderful work. Try to stay on topic today. Marco has to leave us, but try to stay on topic, please. Make sure that you guys are focusing on the lecture. If I ask guys to write something back to me, write it back to me. Take notes. And at the start of February, I have another 3 brush sets to reward to good note takers. So I reward 3 brush sets to 5 a month to those who take really, really good notes. So if you haven't had my brushes yet, and you want a copy of them for free, I reward them to good note takers. And you don't have to take a note on starting February. You can start taking notes now and submit them into the class notes category of the community right here. And just submit it to class. Damn it. Oh my god, I hate you, Google+. To the class notes category, and I message you to message me on Facebook, and I reward you for it. I don't know what Google Plus is doing to this community. There's a lot of us. We're hitting 4,000, and they just give us this clunky ass beta untested. It's okay. It's okay. Shh, calm down. All right, so let's get started. What I would fix about this. Some things that you didn't tackle on your own, which is it's just okay. Sometimes you need a demonstration for you to be able to see that it's possible. You alone is impossible. Like, it's hard to go back and so it's hard to discover some things on your own. Sometimes we all need a teacher or someone to just guide us along what we can't see yet. So what I usually do, and this is something really, really important for detail, for developing detail, and I've asked you guys to list out what are the 3 methods of detail in the past, but one of the most important methods of detail, there's 3, is edge work. Having your edges. 2 would be contrast. Sorry about my writing. And 4 would be actual detail, so micro detail. I don't know what's the word for that. Just fine detail. So shrinking your brush down to 1 pixel width. You never do this one first, and you never do this one first. This one promises that you're thinking about the edge between 2 surfaces. When we differentiate the edge between this and this, we're saying that there's enough light for us to see this really, really sharp edge that I have right here. So all your lines get replaced with edges. And right now, that's not happening. We see more of the fine detail and a little bit of the contrast before we see enough edge work. Edge work is the remnant, the descendants of really, really good blocking in, which is a remnant of the native geometry that we start off with in our understanding. So what I would do to correct this is I'd go back, pretend I'm 30 minutes into the painting, and I just start separating planes from each other and in order to separate these planes from it, it's just a list. Really, it's not different with each face. Every face is exactly the same. The nose does not connect or melt into the cheek, so there's an edge there that's required. The nostril, this is a functional, a mechanical issue right here. The nostril needs more size to it, more visibility to it. Not because I want every nose to look the same. Someone commented in my previous video saying I'm just like trying to push white beauty or some shit like that. I'm not trying to push any kind of standard of beauty. I'm teaching you to show me a nose that isn't hiding the nostril so you can show me that you know how to radial shade. Instead of just using a slit for a nose. I don't care what kind of face you have. I have no business there. That's not my business. My business is just making sure you can draw a nose that looks like it can breathe. Not two Voldemort slits. Alright, so I'm replacing that with, I'll deal with the radial shading later. Alright, where else do we have an edge? Right along here. We've got an edge for the lip. It doesn't connect directly to the rest of the chin. Not as sharp as everything else. We also have an edge just around here, around the eye socket. And this is a tricky little place because it turns into a line very quickly. So I'm just going to try to sneak in a line, but only in the deepest part where the bone really sits right on top of the eyeball. Bone, eyeball. By the way, I have a small announcement. I kind of made a note about the announcements I have. We are next Tuesday. Alright, so hear ye, hear one, come all, hear all ye people. All ye of good faith. Next Tuesday, start drawing some eyes for next Tuesday. Draw me an eye. I'm going to do a full class, a full lecture on eyes, focused only on eyes, next Tuesday the 31st. Alright? And it's going to be a how to draw eyes video. It's going to update all of my previous videos that I've ever covered eyes from side view, front view. And after that, maybe by a week or two, I'm going to ask you guys to draw me some noses. And then we're going to be doing a class on noses and updating my videos on noses. So I called it You Aren't Hiding Your Sticky Nose. So please remember, if you guys want to draw some eyes, if you want to get better at drawing eyes, go ahead and start drawing those eyes. Submit them, not to the theme submissions, just the discussion or images from community critique. Sorry, not discussion. Discussion is for questions. But yeah, eyes, man. Anyways, so I'm using this right here, this line, to create the feeling that this has overlapped. This line gets thicker and more tapered the more out I move. Okay. I'm just throwing some more shadow here for the eye. So this is micro detail, but I didn't try this before I tried the edge, did I? And then I'm just adding some more. So eyes, man, it's time. It's time to replenish the knowledge. It's time to update you guys on all that I've learned since I posted my first How to Draw Eyes video. That was a long time ago. That was back when I was on livestream, back when I had a stupid ass potato of a computer. That was a long time ago. And I think it's a nice little milestone that we've come so far, and now we're updating our eye videos. So it's going to be a really, really nice addition to our channel. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm carrying this shadow upward around the brow bone, and I'm going to again go back to my edge work. So you have to be in a state where you are ready to go and revert to your early stages of the painting process mentality. If you can do that, if you can have like this inner strength to not feel like you're going to ruin your painting if you paint over it now because you're 5 hours in, if you can have that discipline and say, hey, I can rip this piece of shit up right now and reproduce it for you, because this skill was not an accident. This skill was a perfect representation of my control and my command over my skill. So think like that. Think that you can at any time rip up your work and recreate it again, because that's the sign of an artist that has a good reins over their skill. Nothing is accidental. Because those who do create accidental art, oh my god, they never let go of it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the best representation. I'm going to have this on my portfolio for 4 years straight. If a bitch called Istebrak tried to critique it, I will bring the hammer down. Just like parents who are so protective over their kids, they refuse to believe that their kid is incapable of doing anything wrong. That's how you guys can get with your work, and make sure that you can let go. So letting go is reverting back to the blocking in. If you have to block in over a whole, like a whole third of your canvas, you should be able to do that, because you are not infallible. You are going to make mistakes. I go over my sketches all the time. I'm always making mistakes. The point is, can you fix them once you discover them? Do you have the courage and the discipline to fix them once you've discovered them? Can you restart? I've never once restarted a sketch and hated and liked the older version better. I always loved the new version better, because I ironed out some of the earlier questions and I moved on to the more advanced version. It was like I got better over the hour. And if it has been 4 or 6 hours, if it has been like 24 to 48 hours since you last drew, yeah, you're going to be a little rusty. You're going to have to shake off some of the dust a little bit. You have other tasks that you did, like washing dishes and doing laundry and doing schoolwork, doing math, reading. All those things throw off your art groove. So you got to give it some time. Don't believe that the work that you make is mistake free. Once you lay it down, that sacred first brushstroke is uneditable, unfixable. It's perfect as it is, because I'm a special little snowflake. The more of your ego that is tangled in with your creation, the less you'll be able to improve. So what I'm doing now is I'm working along those blocks that I made, and I'm going to select lasso the nostrils here. Lasso select, sorry, and then I'm going to get the soft brush. I'm not looking at the questions right now. There aren't enough mods in here today, so please be your own mod. Make sure you're not talking too much outside of the topic. Repeat what I say back, and try to get others to stay focused. Right. Sometimes you get kids that as soon as you turn around, they start throwing paper balls at each other. As soon as you just turn around. And every time that I used to teach at a private school, and what I'm doing right now is blurring. And whenever I had a class, kids never did that. Because I don't know why. They just never felt like they had to pretend like they were something else during the time that I was teaching, facing them, that they finally overcompensated and went back and reverted to their happy, fun self. So you guys can still be joyous, jolly little things. The rules here aren't supposed to just make this a boring experience. You can still talk to your mates if they ask a question. But really the point is that we're trying to stay on topic, help each other understand this. But yeah, I was always best friends with all my students, even back in private school. When I was teaching them, they always didn't feel like they had to be. I was really proud of that. They never felt like they had to betray me, or if I walked away, I'd find them doing something else. They would always do the thing. I think because teachers don't really want a relationship with their students, and that's so stupid. It's so easy for a student to see you as a parent, as a like a source of not authority, but nurturing. The nostrils seem to be very small on the head now that I've added them, so what I'm going to do is just increase their size. Okay, so number 1 goes up. This is for function. This is for the sake of function. I don't care if this looks like a Barbie doll nose. This is for the sake of function. The nostril it's big enough. You have the courage not to draw a tiny ass little nose. If anything, it's opposing the beauty standard. It's increasing the size of the nostril. Function over beauty, always. Write that back to me. Okay, just don't talk about your weekend or your cat. Okay, I won't. I talk about my cat enough on Instagram. You guys don't need to hear about OSC. She's a spoiled little punk. I guess a lot of them get tired of being around kids. Why would you even bother being a teacher then? Jeez. That's like the worst possible job position for you if you can't handle children. Not even children, just other people. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm getting that secondary light source and I'm reflecting it up here. And I'll show you the before and after, tiny little last minute fixes that do take your painting somewhere new, somewhere more detailed, and a little less fuzzy. I'm not sure if it was the quality of the JPEG that you sent, but yeah, it was just a little fuzzy detail wise. Okay, function over beauty, excellent. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm unifying the edge of the lip with the rest of the face. You can't just have the skin of the face and then a dot and the lips just suddenly start. This is like a pit. It just gradually happened, and like a button on a pillow. Have you ever seen how they just like, indent gradually across the face of the pillow? That's the same thing over here. And I want to make it look like this lip is part of the face. It's not separate from. And then if you guys remember the list for detail, one of the last things on that list was contrast. The last thing on that list was fine detail, but what I'm doing now is bringing in contrast. And where do we bring contrast? A point of interest. And the point of interest are the eyes. Okay. I'm just going to select the entire upper face of the bridge. And then just throw a big chunk of highlight there. And then look, I'm literally blocking in, lassoing in these surface areas. And I'm making sure that the contrast on the lips does not contest the contrast on the nose, which does not contest the contrast on the eyes. As importance goes, so, shit, I did that in a completely new layer, that's fine. Same layer, sorry. So as importance goes, what's the thing that you look at the most when you're talking to someone? Their eyes. You're not looking at the nose. What are you getting out of the nose? I mean, unless you have a thing for noses, and that's your call. But, the rest of us, we're just looking at the eyes. So that's what we detail the most. That's what we're seeing most when we look at a face. And we do that when we're doing portraiture. We want our viewer to have the same relationship, and that adds to the realism in the experience. Okay. Okay, so upper lip gets a little bit more volume. I mean lower lip, sorry. Just a little bit more hydration. Okay, so let's look at a before and after real quick, and we'll look at whatever else is left. So Control C, back. Hopefully the backup YouTube server doesn't fail us. So what we're doing now is bringing in volume, bringing in detail. She's no longer just hiding in the dark. You're learning how to include a character in a focal point. So when they ask for more detail, they're not asking you to give me more lashes and tiny freckles in the face and ripples in the eyelids. What they're asking for is this jump out of the canvas for everything that's important, everything that matters in the painting. And I know that I tell you guys to stay far away from eyebrows. Make sure the eyebrows that you draw are never excessive. They never, again, contest the focal point, which is the eyes. But just adding a little bit of extra shadow to them will bring that necessary amount of contrast. And her eyes seem a little bit hooded, so what I'm going to do is, I love Asian eyes. I used to draw Asian eyes, especially the Filipino face. For some reason, they just have these high, massive ass cheekbones. God, it was so pretty. And I used to admire an artist called Tien Bao, Thienbao. And if you look at his gallery, I think he is like Filipino, or I'm not sure where he's from, but he does use that high cheekbone, massive eyes, hooded, like that whole specific kind of face. And I just used to copy that. I just shamelessly copied him. I loved his work. I eventually grew out of it. I wanted to try, because I started studying the Asian eye so much I couldn't draw a Caucasian eye, and I was like, shit, my portfolio is limited here, so I gotta try something else. But since then, yeah, every time I see a face like that, I just stare at it. On the bus, in the mall, I will just stare at their face. I will shamelessly not look away. The inner corner here. But yeah, guys, check his gallery out. That guy, I followed his work growing up like no other artist. I loved the way he drew. I just loved the way he painted. He was so popular on DeviantArt as well. I don't think enough people talk about him. He did an Imagine FX cover as well. Very, very talented dude. And I got a lot of that pinup love, like that love for those, not pinup like World War II bras and panties pinup. Pinup meaning like the characters spread in a canvas and with like really pretty, with symbols used to represent their character kind of pinup. Like basically all of League of Legends art is pinup. Even like Graves concept art is pinup considered. he's an amazing artist. And I got into like, I used to believe as well that my style was like a pretty little snowflake. I had my style and that was it. I'm just going to keep making it better and learn how to shade and blend. I thought that was it as a kid. And then I discovered his work and I'm like, oh my God, the way he draws hands is so realistic, the way he draws that. And you can't pretend you don't want to learn realism. You can't pretend. You can't sit there in front of me and tell me you don't want to make your paintings move the way his paintings did. And so I had to face that part of my, my ego and just realize my paintings would look so much better if I knew how to shade along some form. And that's kind of what really got me into learning how to paint a face more realistically. And I just focused on portraiture for so long until there was nothing left to learn. And I just started teaching. Maybe I'll include all of this in the Draw My Life. Alright, so now that I've decided this is the excess contrast that I'm going to reach for the eyes. Right now the eyes are way too smudgy. What we need is a nice old basic brush from Photoshop and just right click that motherfucker. I'll get the highlights back in a second, but just stamp those pieces in. Because what you get is that detail factor. Of course you can't have it the exact same, like the exact edge work of that stamp brush. Just a basic brush from Photoshop is a perfect circle, and that brings back the function, which is bringing in the beauty and the focal. But yeah, we needed a better circle for that. It was looking very, very cartoony, very unfinished, very early stage. So yeah, now that I decided the dark is dark for the face, I'm going to move into the lips and make sure that I have enough contrast there. It's not going to be as dark. Remember, contrast is decreasing the lower in the face you go. Contrast decreases the lower you go on the face. Write that back to me. Alright, and then for the lips, to make the lips feel a little bit more realistic, they do get a line of dark around them, which is very tricky because I'm kind of very, very wary of giving you guys the green light for that line. But it's radial, and it gradually happens, and it's the overlapping of one lip on the other. And then select inverse, and clean up this edge all the way up to the lip. Yeah, just make it one clean all the way up, and then include the shadow after that. Contrast decreases the lower you go on the face. Exactly. Sorry about lasso. I don't know why it's being such a butt. I think this is a very, very small painting. By the way, for this artist, I'm not sure who you are, but please make sure that I can download your work on Google+. If you guys turn that, allow users to download my images, I won't be able to download your full res copies that you upload to the community. So you do two things when you upload to the community. You agree to the fact that I might have these videos on my YouTube and use them for the class, and you agree that I can download them. So if you did join the community, it's really important that you guys let me download these, because if I'm working with low, I most likely will not use it, because especially because of the new Google+, it's just so friggin' weird. So just make sure I can download them so I don't have a lot of trouble finding a good copy of your work. But I really wanted to cover this one because it was a 14-day challenge graduate, so I feel like you guys deserved it. Okay, so I'm just going to try that one more time, building up the values as I go. Nothing's too extreme. But how do you guys like the idea of the winner of the grant to be kind of like featured in our video? Or like the announcement video, just have them, you know, like maybe have them talk. I'm not sure if I have them featured in the channel, but just show their gallery, show them off a little bit, have you guys meet the winner. So what I'm doing is I'm introducing these edges, and I'm just gonna go back. I'll ask questions in a second. So get your questions ready. Make sure you write my name so I can see it. And then I'm just going to make a cupid's bow happen with a white line. It's a great idea? Okay. Or else they'd just be like lost in the community. Like no one would really know who won the community challenge. It's kind of weird. Okay. All your shadows should be the same temperature. They should be the same level, same everything. So the shadow here should be the same shadow on the nose, but slightly lighter. Again, the contrast ladder goes down, and then over here, and then radially climb the chin to its highest point. So before, after. More detail, more contrast. Essentially what we're doing is like just basically, this is how you manually introduce contrast. And contrast comes from having edges as well. If you remember the two smudgy brushes beside each other with two values really close to each other. See, this is why I repeat myself so much, because I feel like someone doesn't know what I'm referring to, so I repeat it in case someone's going to ask, what was she talking about at that moment? But basically what I'm saying is you get contrast just by doing edges. So there's value number 1. Really, really normal, cool little value, and we go slightly darker, and we use a really, really smudgy brush. These look like the same value, don't they? But they're not. If we get a nice sharp, look at that. You guys thought it was the same value because it didn't give your edges a chance. This happens a lot in your work, but a much more serious degree. Like 3rd degree burn kind of, kind of degree. All right? So that's equivalent of doing this. But you're not always going to be able to do this on a computer. You have to be able to learn how to, and it still doesn't really bring in detail, does it? It's still not nowhere near rivaling what happened here, which is more detail has been brought in. So you divided the detail into 3 ways: contrast, edges, contrast, and fine detail. And I didn't even do the fine detail. I didn't even do that yet. And that raises the resolution as well. Okay? Before? After. Now what happens is the fine detail happens in lots of areas. I can tell you where they go. One of the most important, of course, is on the eyes. So we get lashes. We get the ripples in the eyes. We get the wrinkles in the eyelids, the wrinkles in the upper eyelid as well. We get the eyebrow hair. But you guys tried this stuff too early, and that's why it doesn't look right. Okay, we get some pores on the nose, some freckles across the face, and then we get the ripples on the lips. Of course, you can't go crazy contrast down here. Remember the contrast ladder. You can't just bring in black and white down here. Details up here, other little specks and whatnot on the face, and that's it. You have lower eyelids too. You have a finished face. Also, making sure the eye is perfectly spherical and perfectly detailed. What else? Yeah, that's it. Maybe some secondary light source. Edges like that, what's it called again? Rim light. So these are the places, these are the ways you bring in full detail on a face. All these locations. So when you're done your 14-day challenge, your final day, you're ready to push the detail as far as possible. These are the areas where detail happen in a portrait. Don't fucking try these before you've given your contrast and your edges a chance, alright? Because I will find you. I will climb your window. You will see me there, and I will have this creepy face, and I will look like that one creep from that one anime, and you'll be very scared. You will probably poop yourself. I'm threatening you. This is a threat. If you guys try this fucking detail before it's time, I will find you. And I'll give you a lecture. I'll have you sit down. Istebrak, more contrast on the chin, or does it draw focus away? It definitely draws focus away. Just chill it, cool it with the contrast on the lower half of the face. Keep all of that business up here. We can even go into the pure whites. The eyes are this is a specular shine right here, so we can do this. We can go into no man's land. We can do that. Look at that. We're allowed to do this. This is a specular shine off a mirror-like surface. We're allowed to hit this spike. We're allowed to use the sharpen tool and just make that super sharp. We're allowed to do this on a face. Maybe a tiny little one down here as well. But trust me, the 14-day challenge is worth it. Imagine, let's look at this person. Imagine that this is what they started off with 14 attempts ago, and they applied to a AAA company in their portfolio. Hey guys, I want to work for you. Let me work for you. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hire me, hire me, hire me. Would they hire this guy or this guy? They're gonna hire this guy. No, 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 not this guy. This guy. They're gonna hire this guy, the guy that did this painting, because he's showing a thorough understanding of the beauty standard. He can give them the face that they need. He'll be able to, give them concept art, different hairstyle combinations, whatnot, whatnot. They can probably work with another team, telling them how to teach the other members of the design team. They can probably work really well with others as well, because they did 14 days of practice, 14 days of dealing with other people's shit and dealing with my shit and my critiques. I would hire this dude right here. I would hire you 14 days later. I wouldn't hire you 14 days before. Okay? That means something. Alright, so ask your questions. And I'll merge this down and send it back to you. Please message me as soon as the video goes up. Try to keep track or whatever. Find me on Facebook. Everyone has Facebook on their phone nowadays. Message me, because I do delete these copies. I can't keep every single thing I've ever critiqued. I used to. I don't do that anymore because the file became like 10 gigabytes. Message me if you want a copy of your work. And remember, this is my work, so try to reproduce these copies. Copy the corrections from today on your own. Okay. Istebrak, stupid question. There's no stupid questions. If the light is coming from above, where should the light reflection appear on the eyeball? That's really tricky, because what happens is the top of the lid, the top of the disc of the lens is reflecting light that came from the bottom. You can put it anywhere. I'm telling you, you can put it anywhere, because this is not photorealism, is it? No. It's a rendition of something that looks realistic. Your work is still very cartoony at the end of the day. The one we just critiqued, that's not hyper-realistic. That's very cartoony. It's realistic cartoony, though. And we do find people that are that pretty. But no one is going to get a machine that tests whether or not you place the right specularity on the eye. There's no machine that anyone's invented that is like, I don't know, that's just I don't know, I guess Vermeer used that. No, he used like a little mechanism to show where light is. It's not, there's no machine out there that's going to test whether or not you put the light in the right spot. Everyone has a different taste for where the lights go. The lights come from maybe a background in anime, maybe a background in cartooning of some kind. If you're copying from a photo, just copy the photo. And whatever the photo is telling you about the light source situation. But if you're drawing from your head, you're drawing from memory, and you're just trying to figure out where to put the light, safe bet would be one light at the top, on top of the black little inner piece, the pupil of the eye, and maybe a couple of tiny little lights around the whites of the eye, and a little bit of light on the waterline. Waterline on eyes are too much detail with highlight. You can definitely have a waterline on the eye. Just make sure that it's not pure white. I'm going to cover all of this with you guys next week for the eye theme day. I'm going to announce it, make sure everyone knows. But yeah, just make sure nothing is as bright as the main white light on the eyeball. For the floral humanoids, can we include animals and pets? I did mention that you're allowed to have a little bit of grass here and there, and a couple rocks at the foot of the character. If you want to include a little pet, you can do that. What is a good value range to shade face? I normally use 50% as mid-tone. So 50%, you mean like this? You mean good value range in opacity? Basically, you start high, you end really low. And when I mean low, I mean 14% opacity. I'm not talking like, you stay at 100. This is only if you want to continue using a painterly technique and you don't want to lose your brush's character. But if you're going for a full high quality render, full realism, you go back down to like 10% opacity to polish. When you mention the eye pick, can I draw a dragon eye or must it be a human eye? Of course it must be a human eye. Do you think there's any difference between traditional pencil art and digital? Do you feel some rules change when you change the mediums? None of the fundamental rules change. Some technique rules change. For instance, in watercolor, you avoid using dark at all degrees, not just the dark spots, but you avoid using it in every single way, because it's impossible to undo that traditionally with watercolor. Acrylic, you can just paint over your mistakes, but even then it looks choppy and the texture starts to come off depending on your canvas quality. Some of the, like, technique wise, what I mean is what comes first: the dark spots, the sketch. The typically it's the same through digital. It's just that, you know how we can use digital and we can use an opacity layer, to kind of introduce layer by layer of the face. We can't really do that in traditional. There's no layer work. Very, very minimal use. We're using a paper to help guide straight lines. But essentially, think about them in layers. Which layer of paint came last? The last layers of paint, whatever it includes, usually is the last thing we keep at the end. So just because it's hard to go back and erase traditional, especially pencil. Pencil is a pain in the ass. Because it makes you think you can erase it, but you really can't. Can we post the 14-day challenge as one post showing every portrait done, or is it necessary to post one portrait a day? Nart, the point of the 14-day challenge is you post it day by day to the community, preferably one day apart, like every other day, so you can get a critique. If you got a critique, Nart, and you want to just showcase your success, that you did it off the community, that's fine too. You can post it, and exactly as this person posted it. I love what they did. Thank you for being so neat. Thank you for being so neat with your posts. I love this. I love seeing these. These are wonderful. I want to see just like that. Sorry, RGB 50% BS. That's too dark, Rosalinda. Just think about it as colors. Where do colors sit? Where do the best colors for skin tones sit? So when I say best, I mean like an olive medium, neither white nor dark. It's just somewhere in the middle that summarizes all the beige people. If we mixed all of the skin tones together in one big bucket, we just get this color right here. And that's what I mean when I say like high medium. This is basically a good place to start for your values. Your background should be this light, or if it has to be this dark. Don't start here for a skin tone. You're going to get mud. Look at this. This is mud. This is poop. Can we post eyes for critique on the same day that we post a 14-day challenge post? Because I know the community rules limit you to post one day, but this way I'm forced to choose. You can post more than one image in the same post. You just can't have multiple posts on the wall. So you can post all your work of the week in one post. It doesn't mean one picture, it just means one post. So you can just throw 100 pictures in there if you wanted to. Let's see what how do you transition an image from grayscale to color? That's a very big question, Alvar Ringa. It's a very big question that I've covered in one of my videos. If you can look it up, grayscale to color, on my video history, you'll find it. Okay, so let's go on to this next piece. A couple of issues. I'm going to point to them. If you disagree, by all means, let me know. Politely. Don't call me a cunt. And we'll kind of argue about it. All right, let's talk a little bit. Let's argue. Let's debate. Okay, everyone ready? Focus. No more questions. This jaw is very high. When we have a toothless old person, they lose their teeth. And so what happens is their jaw gets really close to their face. We get this kind of like a lost teeth look. Oh my god. Kids. Oh my god, look at that baby, Jesus. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about right here. Poor Nicolas Cage, dude. So we get that missing jawline. When we have this low face, really short face, vertically limited because there's no more teeth keeping the jaw separate from the rest of the skull of the head. Remember, the skull is composed of two major bone structures, the skull proper and the jaw structure that does all the eating and talking. So right here, this is a little too high. And especially this little curve I'm feeling, this little trend I'm feeling here, it's making her look very, very old. We did a whole week on villains, a whole week on villain design. It was wonderful. It was so much fun. I loved it. Kind of want to try it again this June. But we covered the fact that villains are made to look sickly, void of life, void of humanity, and very skull-like. And two remnants of the skull is a missing eyebrow and the dark spot. So she looks extremely sick and extremely old. But I know by the proportions you use, this is supposed to be a pretty young girl. So you've confused ages. This is a symptom of mixing age groups, confusing age groups, not doing enough studies between a baby and an old person to have grown an instinct against making these kinds of mistakes. So no, I'm not changing the face for those who are on YouTube who are looking for a way to talk smack about me, find ways to undermine my authority. I'm saying that you've confused the age groups. There are girls that look just like this of this age group, but they have a very distinct face. People also would notice this is a very sickly looking person. So I'm going to start off with liquefier, maybe even transform tool if I can pull it off. And what I'm trying to do, I'm not getting rid of her cuteness because her neckline is telling me she's pretty old. If this was a baby face and this is a toddler type of roundness in her face, the neck wouldn't have developed. And have you ever seen a toddler with this kind of neck? No, she looks like she's 14, 16. So what we gotta do is give that head some size. Do you see what happens? She kind of looks old because the lips are far away from the face. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to the erase tool. Try to do this without ruining it. Okay. And I'm going to lower that lip. Don't worry, I'm going to lower the whole mouth. I just had to lower them separate from each other. The jaw is separate in this correction from the rest of the face. Okay. And then merge that down. So before, to see that very, very old feeling. She wasn't just old, old just yet, but it was happening. It was like a Benjamin Button experience. And I'm lowering the lips. All right. Still the same face, so chill out. Still the same face. Chill. Take it easy. But what I am doing is creating a more synced, a more consistent age group in this face by correcting it in this way. Okay? You're very welcome for the answers. Thank you for thanking me for my answers. That's sweet. Maybe others could also thank me. Those others that didn't think. Take an example from Mikey. Alright. Okay, so before, after, and then a full before and after. So now she kind of looks cute. She looks like she's in her age group. She looks like she's 14, 12, 16, whatever. But she doesn't look like, anymore like this, where the face looks like a toddler on a 14-year-old's body with an 80-year-old's jawline and missing teeth and extremely anemic. I'm not making fun of the sickness, anemia. I had it growing up. I know what it looks like, and no eyebrows. And almost like an albino kind of anatomy. So that was one of the reasons why your painting wasn't looking realistic enough. Realistic means in the real world you don't have a half 80-year-old person. That doesn't happen. That'd be like a break in the space-time continuum. You only aged in a couple of ways in your anatomy and the rest of your anatomy stay the same. That'd be really cool if we saw that in a movie. Someone messed around with time and they aged only half their face, or their only one arm aged because that arm just passed through 80 years and they quickly rushed it back through the portal, but their arm was aged. Wouldn't that be so fucking cool if we saw that in a comic book or something? Anyways. Just do that. Before and after. Before, after. And then now I'm going to take care of the surface features. What's happening with the rest of the face? I'm going to get rid of that excessive little shadow here under the eye that looks like pigmentation. It's not reading as an eye shadow or the lower eyelid. It looked like pigmentation. Okay, I'm going to use that edge work I used last time to separate the eye structure from the rest of the cheek. When you see the before and after post and you read it in your head with Istebrak's voice. Before, after. Consider it done. What do you mean, Michael Habib? Hercules. When he dips his hand into the pool of the damned. Oh, yeah! And he ages. Oh, yeah, I remember that. So again, I'm just going to show you the before and after. After I took off, I'm going to do it bit piece by piece. So if you do have a problem, you want to have a bone to pick with me, I'm doing this piece by piece for you. So you can see the changes as they progress. If you don't believe in what I can do, if you don't have faith, ye of little faith, I'm taking you by the hand. All right? See what happened? It was the age that looked like a very, very sick, old, aged eyes. Again, she aged only in her eyes and the rest of her face. I'm also going to bring in the eyebrows now. And just like before, what I tell you, bring the eyebrows in. Very, very smudgy. I'm going to just borrow the hair color. That's it. Nothing fancy. I'm going to bring in some coolness because you have a lot of pinks used in the skin tone. She's very, very pale. And that's, again, why she looks so sick. You also get dark circles up here. On the inner nose area, you get dark circles. The shape of the eye is a little bit problematic as well right now. Don't worry, I'm here. I'll show you what to do. Throw that eyebrow in. Do you see how sickly it looked? So if you are going for a very, very creepy, villainous vampire girl that is like a weird little girl, but really she's like 200 years old, and she like serves this really, really evil master of darkness, and she kind of like acts like a little orphan girl, but then she eats people, then yes, please go for that, because that's what we're talking about when we say villain. Flip the canvas real quick. Whenever I'm trying the other eyebrow, when you try to paint the other eyebrow and the other eye, when you try to paint the distant half of a 3/4 view, flip the canvas. Write that back to me. There's also the issue of the nose. The nose is very developed for a 14-year-old, and especially for a toddler, which is the face shape you had before. So I'm shrinking the nose too. Wait, what? Did I already? Okay. So I'm shrinking the nose, realigning it back to the symmetry line of the face and the Cupid's bow. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to do with your art when you grow up. One massive thing that's always needed is what I'm doing, reviewing other art, directing art. So you don't have to have an art channel in order to teach and be able to use your art skill. You can also work for a company and make their work paintings happen. But you are an what's the term? Invaluable. You are an indispensable resource in directing other younger artists or interns or something like that on what to do. So everything you're learning from me, you can say to other people if you wanted to go the teaching route, but you didn't just want to only teach, you also wanted to draw. So art directing, this is what art directing is. If someone brought you a concept for a vampire girl and she looked this cute, I would bring in some pigmentation around the eyes. These are universal rules. This isn't just about studying this. You can take this into the real world as well. All the stuff you're learning. Alright, so this part of the eyeball, I want to get rid of that darkness, that Tim Burton dark spot around her eye. And just keep this up. So you can be an art director one day. You can choose to do that. Because you'll still be able to know, like you'll still know a mistake when you see one and then direct against it. The light is coming in from the side, so that's why we have light on that part of her eyeball. Same over here. And you'll see the before in a second. I use a smudge tool, smudge brush, scatter brush on smudge tool in order to just unify some values together. Also, another reason why she looked very, very old is her waterline was very saggy. When you're old, your waterline sags along with everything else. But she also looked young because her eyes were really, really, like not young, weird, alien-like. Because her inner corner was so low compared to the other one. So I'm raising that up. I'm opening this eye just a little bit. The skin tone is still patchy. The skin tone is still like you're giving off the feeling of like a dark creature or something. Have you ever seen Let the Right One In? That movie? Not the remake with that fucking annoying butterface actress, but the original one that's from Sweden. I'm not sure where it was made, but yeah, that one. Watch that one. Look at the way they made her look old and feel old. The makeup artists were very inspired. They actually made her feel old. She was just a little kid actress. Okay, so, oh, whoops. So before, if you wanted to keep this toddler face, you're going to have to get rid of this 14-year-old developed body. She looks like she's developing breasts as well, which is why it looked very uncanny. And now we increase the size of the face. Maybe I'll tuck the chin in just a little bit. So yeah, when you get older, your chin kind of grows in. Okay, so that sickly look in the face is now replaced with, yeah, same girl, just a more synced, consistent age group that she's coming from. Okay? You can keep the eyebrows off if you want her to read as a villain that's smiling but acting innocent but really not. But again, a villain is also in the expression, so you're gonna have to make her look devious. But that's why I'm getting the feeling of like a devious face. One time someone critiqued my work by saying that I don't know how to teach people how to draw skin tones. And their argument was that their faces have purple and green and brown and all these other cool colors in there. And I'm trying to explain to them, if you include that too much in your portfolio, in your paintings and whatever, you're going to make them look old. All your painting, not everyone has pure greens and pure purples on their face. When you do that too much, you no longer have a consistent glow, sun-kissed glow that everyone wants in their character designs. We reserve the pure greens and the pure purples, as I've covered in the villain challenge. We've reserved them for when we're really trying to make a statement about this complexion, this I haven't been out in the sun because I've been plotting world domination complexion. So skin tones, the ones that are acceptable, are the ones that I've taught, the ones that are industry standard. The ones that are start with a beige and have a little bit of yellow and have a little bit of red in the shadows and a slight amount of blue, and only if they're really pale do we have greens around the eyes, and that's pretty much it. We don't have these excessive purples everywhere, so what we do with makeup is we get a foundation that unifies our skin tone color. If it was acceptable to have these pure greens and pure purples, people wouldn't be getting makeup to make their complexion feel unified. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to take away from those purples, leaving them only where we have pure flesh, like waterline or lips or noses. I don't want her to look so sickly if that's not what I'm going for. Also, the gray hair really caused that old person look. And now if I use the color layer and I grab some of that pink and I place it only where it belongs, I'll bring that blush back to her cheeks. A little bit on her nose. And another reason why she looked old is because, again, you're trying to go for pure realism on a painted, again, I say cartoony, but anything that we do always ends up looking cartoony. But you made the whites of the eyes too dark. This is another reason why she looked old. I have to do this in a new layer. And then just erase away. So I'm not looking at the questions just yet. I will in a second. But if you want to refute what I've said, if you want to argue with it, please go ahead. Let me know what you think. If you think these have ruined the painting, let me know. Why do you think they've ruined the painting? And remember that if you are of a low level in your skill development and you don't see the mistakes as other people see them, it's because you haven't learned them yet. So the fact that you don't see them isn't a sign that they're a mistake. It's a sign that you are not at the level yet to see these mistakes. You will be very soon, in a couple of hours even. When you take a break away from your painting for a couple of hours, you come back a whole new artist. You see all your mistakes. Sometimes the tunnel vision of a painting process hides some mistakes from us. Alright. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of a green around her eyes. She is very pale. I can't fight that off. So I have to bring in some green. But I don't go to green. I find base tone around that eye, and I push towards the yellows. The yellows themselves will bring enough green in. And I just throw that around the eye, just to show that she's a little pale. And you see that my opacity went all the way down. I'm not even using this pure yellow, which looks green compared to everything. I'm going to bring in a touch more blood to her face. Just bring in some more saturation. Not everyone on lip, but I don't want it to read as a lipstick. But I just want it to read like she is alive and breathing. A little bit more around here. And then the circular shape of the eye. In your post, you asked for people to tell you why it's not looking realistic. The pupil isn't perfectly circular, and neither is the iris. If you want it to look perfectly circular, you have to do that. And one tip that I have, if you do have a colored eye, grab some of that green or the blue or whatever the colored eye is and throw it on the whites of the eyes. When we look at something, the white usually takes the color of the object beside it in our head. Right? So before, after. The eyebrow is still underdeveloped. The other half of the face, if we flip the canvas, the 3/4 view is very flattened. There's no compression. So what I would do to this whole section is just, let me see if I can do the lip on a separate layer, is just tuck it in. And this is a sign of rotation. You have an issue with your rotation. I would just tuck it in like that. Just like that. Grab this piece. Tuck it in there. Because as the face turns, parts of it hide away. So as the face turns, pieces hide away more and more. They don't just get flattened or unwrapped the way we do when we unwrap a model or something. Get that chin shape back. Flip the canvas again. Probably should have done a better job with my lasso, but whatever. So if you wanted the face to be more round, the nose would have to be smaller, the age group would have to be completely different. There's like a lot of push and pull here to get the face perfectly where it needs to be. Now that I flip the canvas back, I'm going to just keep adjusting. But again, before, after, and then this is before that adjustment. Good thing I tested that, because that needs to go down as well. Yeah. Just a lot of correcting. When you're not planning your 3/4 views early, you end up having to do this. And this is messy. But I have to do it because I'm correcting. But if you're in your process, if you studied a painting, please study every aspect of it. What's the age? Is it sick? What's the role? Why am I drawing this painting? What am I going for? What's the narrative? All of those will help you get a better result. The eyes still feel a bit big, but there's only so much I can fix in a little while, and maybe you should keep the eyes large. The distant lip needs to be tucked into the quarter. Rotation is a bitch. Rotation is a crazy little bitch. It's hard to wrap your head around all that's required of you once you rotate the head. As soon as you get into 3/4 view, everything you think you know about art just goes out the window. I have to start all over again. Write that back to me. Get ready to start over again with 3/4 view. Prepare yourselves. When your body is ready, then you can go to 3/4 view studies and just prepare for disappointment. This is what you should write back to me. Prepare yourselves for disappointment once you start doing 3/4 view, because that is a whole other ball game. Okay, so before, after. I did change a couple things according to my taste. Basically, just the size of the lips. They feel a little bit less wrinkled and tiny. But do you see what I mean when I said it looks like like you're trying to do photorealism, but you just can't cross over until it, in a way with, you're trying to do photorealism, but you haven't reached the point where it's not uncanny anymore. So right now it's pure uncanny. And I guess what I've done is kind of remove some of that uncanniness and salvaged what we can at this point. But if you're doing photorealism, please let us know. Post your photo with it. What is it that you're failing at that's not allowing this to read? Why does it look, in essence, creepy? And that's the age groups that you've hidden from each other, overlapped each other, sorry. That's the fact that you haven't included the eyebrows yet. Especially because, I mean, don't say you're leaving it for later because we're already seeing the pupil. If we're seeing this amount of detail, the eyebrow should have already been considered by now. Just a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. Prepare yourself for disappointment when you start 3/4 view. Rotation is a crazy little bit. What does uncanny mean? Uncanny means that it's realistically presented, but you know in your heart of hearts that that is a monster and that is not a human. So it's like, I imagine that when we see like demons or something, if we ever do see them or something like that, that they would be uncanny, because to us we know they're realistic, but they're so outside of the norm that we just vomit. Like we see them and we just vomit right there and then. Because it's hard for us to process something that we know is not realistic, but is also half realistic. So have you ever seen that Google realistic Homer Simpson? That's uncanny. Because you haven't switched the proportions to be human, but you made everything else human. You made the skin tones human, but it wasn't moving humanly. Like the Jeff Bridges model from what's it called, Tron, and even the most the Rogue One, the model they use for the young Princess Leia, and the one general guy, those are still uncanny. They weren't behaving just enough like realistically enough. Okay. All right, something slightly off. So we have before, after. Oopsie, this part here got a little destroyed. Okay. So that's it. That's all I have to suggest for these. This is the way you can save your painting a little bit. She looks like she's 14 years old. You know, just entering her womanly years. I'm not sure where you were going with this character, but it feels like she's some sort of protagonist. You know how, like, you know, in anime, who's the protagonist? Seeing who's got the craziest fucking hair. So she seems to have a very specific hairstyle here. Her little hairstyle, I feel like, because it starts so high, it would start over here. So it did a this, and then it showed. I feel like it should just do a this. That way it'll just start a little bit higher. It'll kind of frame the face, right? So ask your questions, write my name with the question, stay relevant to this critique, please. Don't ask what my social security number is. Now you're going to ask me what my social security number is. That's just going to happen now because I said it, so. Good job on the hair texture, though. It's not too much. Let me see if I can just do that. And then erase away. As needed. I'll look over in a second. Watch me forget to answer questions. I can always scroll up and see where the highlights are. Boop, boop. Okay. So I locked the layer. Now I'm just going to introduce some texture. Okay. There's a lot of work left to do, but this is a good place to start once you've started fixing. And yeah. What if she had like really, really blonde eyebrows? So let's look it up. Blonde girl. Please no porn, please no porn. Okay. Even if you're blonde and you're naturally blonde, you still have the darkest version of your eyebrows in there. Okay? So you don't end up having like a white brow just because your hair is blonde. Okay? You still have like a dark version of your hair. I was looking for videos of OC on Istebrak's Instagram at the beginning of class, and I saw a video of Istebrak drawing single pixel hair. You mean the sketch video? That's when I was done drawing the bulk of the head, dude. The bulk of the hair was already drawn. I was drawing away flyaway hairs, Nick. You little punk ass. Following form studies and structural fundamentals. When is a great point to dive into studying color? How can it be approached? There's two ways. You can try a color layer and then just start like mixing shit up and using color layer. So much to cover. And then and then there's, okay, before you jump into form studies that are colored, draw rainbow spheres. So one blue sphere, one red sphere, one green sphere, and post it to the community. All right, I'll do a day especially on that. But typically, your values should reflect every color that they belong to. So yellow stays pretty light. In order for yellow to be yellow, it needs a white layer underneath it. Not white, light. And sorry, I'm just like at the end of the class, so I'm really, really fatigued. I'm trying to talk a little bit slower. And then you'll learn that yellow doesn't really have a dark value to it. You'll learn that blue is the most saturated color and the darkest value. You'll learn the character's behavior of colors and the habits and patterns of colors. But I don't recommend learning how to transfer your grayscale to color. Only do that if you have to. Once you're done grayscaling, move it straight into raw color. You know, don't grayscale, go into straight color after a great deal of grayscaling. And when I mean grayscaling, I mean do it for a year. Like, that's the only time I'm going to tell you to do something for a year is grayscale. Is Golem more elf or more ogre? A Golem is more ogre. His eyes are huge and it seems like he's kind of aimed at being both cute and creepy at the same time. Oh, Golem from Lord of the Rings. No, he's more ogre. Very ogre. Golem from Lord of the Rings. He's got all that. Basically is what we looked at here today. Old but with big eyes. That's just the alien thing. He's more alien than he is human. He's more alien than elf. Golem. Lord of the Rings. He has cute moments, but it's just an old guy. Right? They have moments when they iron out his wrinkles, so he doesn't look like this. And he's hiding his teeth, and we see him as cuter than usual. It's an old guy. It's an alien more than anything. Tiny nose. It's very high. Distance between nose and mouth is very extensive. Age signature right there. Wide mouth. Lots of wrinkles around the eyes. And the large eyes are not enough to make a face look cute. If we decrease the size of his mouth, like we can just take this into Photoshop for a second, but if we decrease the size of his mouth, make it like this tiny little thing, then he'll actually look cute. But it's the width of his mouth that really causes trouble. The precious is lost. She still looks really odd to me. Maybe because the under eye and cheeks look sagged. Sometimes when we use texture studies and textury stuff, yeah, see how it extends all the way down here. So I don't want to make her look like a Barbie, which is why I'm not painting too much. But typically we would also, ideally, we would do this. Make her look a little less old. This laugh line, we just make it a wide brush instead of a large brush. But now she looks like a Barbie, right? We don't have exactly what we started off with, which is why I'm very cautious of making big changes. Because you see that laugh line right here beside the nose? That has aged her. So we got rid of that, and then we got rid of that. It's still there, it's just not as deep. And now she looks much younger. Okay. So those are my corrections. That's it for today. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everyone's work. I know, so I pick some of them and I end up doing them and give you false hope. But I can't cover everything. My voice gets itchy and I lose my voice, and I wish I, yeah. She still looks like, okay, there, I read that already. Okay, any questions? Any last minute questions before we close up shop? If you guys like what you saw here today, just go to istebrak.com. See that creep? My video, I mean. I mean my painting. I don't even know why I drew this fucking creep right here. Every time I look at him, I'm just like, did I really draw that? I'm such a sweet girl. Why did I draw this creep? Um, but it was for the villain challenge. It was very, very fucking fun. But yeah, go to Google Plus, and I think I'm a sweet little girl. I'm not a sweet little girl. You just watch me play League. But yeah, go to the community, join it. If you have some stuff to post, post it on the Images for Community Critique if you want to join the theme, which is described here. It's posted on the theme submissions. Please don't forget, so Grant, final call. I have these little notes for myself. Don't forget, see, why does it do this? Why does it kind of do this shit? Damn it. But yeah, if you have, if you want to join the grant, if you want to win a tablet, you want to win, not win, it's not a contest, it's a grant. If you're limited resources wise and you really need a break and you need some stuff, in order to get better at drawing art, join the grant, look at the debrief, join here, scroll all the way down for the debrief, and yeah, if you're interested in that. All the requirements are there in the debrief, and then we have floral design theme. I covered the floral design requirements, but again, just look here for the description. If you have questions, someone's probably already asked the question, and read through that. I post everything on YouTube. Once I'm done this video, I render it and send it off to YouTube. I don't leave it directly because I have music that I play in the early portions of the video, and that's the copyright infringement, so I have to bring the video down, render it, edit it, and repost it. Facebook is where you can contact me if you want your images sent back to you. Contact me as soon as possible or else I will delete them. Twitter is where I announce some thoughts. I express my thoughts. I also announce announcements on Twitter for the class cancellation, etc. It's always announced here if you want to stay updated. And Instagram is just personal stuff. But yeah, go to the Google Plus. Once we hit big, and by the estimates, I'm getting around 1,500 subscribers every 4 days, which is really where we just hit 50,000 subscribers. But let's go here. We're already at 51,600, sorry. So by our estimates, we're probably looking at 100K by June, which I hope doesn't happen with my heart of hearts, because that is going to be crazy. So I'm giving you some warning, some heads up. There will be a limit on who can join the community. The community will probably be capped at 5,000. I will try to find a way to remove inactive members who just joined and are not posting. If they want to rejoin, they just have to give me a little description saying that, yeah, I was just watching the community, I'd like to stay a part of it. But I'll be deleting a lot of the people that are not active, so people who are active, who want to be active, can join. I did this way back when we had the Skype group instead. And I most likely will not, the more people that join the community, the less chance you have of getting a critique from me. So, this leads me to my last little announcement. If you're not getting critiques, and you want critiques, give critiques, okay? Provide some of the thing that you would like given to you. It's a give and take, okay? So if you're not getting critiques and you're just sitting there on your little duck butt waiting for someone to give you a critique because you posted it, stay active. So if you get to know people, this is what a community is for. And then what else? Critiques. Stay active. I think that's it. I think that's it for today. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, John. I will hurt you. I will send my shoe flying across the continental US and it will find you. Alright, I will send my chancla. Chancla is the best assassin. Chancla. What if I want to do private tutoring someday with you? I'm scared that I won't be able to get tutoring with you because there will be too much demand. It's already there. It's already there right now. I haven't been able to book in a couple students because it's just on a first come first serve kind of basis, and there are waiting lists right now for private tutoring with me. I'm fully booked for like the next 3 months, just completely booked. Some people take breaks from my classes, so there's that odd chance that there's a window. If you do want to be added to the waiting list, you have to contact me as soon as possible, and message me so that I could consider you for a student. I do have a screening program. I know I cover everyone and accept everyone skill level wise for public tutoring, but private tutoring is a little bit more strict, especially because it's like there's an accountability factor. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining today. I will see you guys next week, Tuesday. Please remember next week Tuesday is all about eyes. So if you guys want to perfect your eye studies, do some eyes, post some eyes so that we can look at them. I kind of don't want to take down the pin for Floral humanoids. That's really bothers me. Maybe I can move it into. Maybe I can move it into. Come on, I can't change the location of the post once I'm done. Once I've posted it? Come on. Really? Isn't there a move too? Son of a bitch. But yeah, I'll post some information about what's required for the eye studies. Just gray background, colored or uncolored eyes for Tuesday, the 31st. It's gonna be about eyes. All right. Okay. I will see you guys next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for coming. You guys are great. Bye bye.